Hey, how's it going? Dave 2D here, and in front of me is a very small computer case. It's one of the smallest cases you can get out there that can hold a full-size graphics card. And if you'll notice in the front of it, it's got Supreme on it. It's a Supreme themed computer case. Now, if you don't know what Supreme is, they're a New York-based skate brand. They have this iconic look to their stuff with this white font against a bright red background, and their stuff can be crazy expensive. I customized this case to match their branding, but to understand where this thing came from and why it exists, I have to go into story time. But let's start at the very beginning. This is a case that is called the GHOST S1. It's made by a company called LOUQE, and they're a Swedish company. Now, they hit me up a couple months ago and they're like, hey, we have this really small case. You like small cases. Do you want to check it out? And I was like, yeah, send it over when it's ready. And the thing is, I receive a lot of cases, small ITX cases. The majority of them just aren't impressive to me. They're kind of like rehashes of one another, but this one is really cool, and I actually think it's one of the best. No, I'm just gonna say it. It's my favorite ITX case that I've ever used. So this is why. Not only is this thing a small case, it's a modular case. So the base, like this little small box here, can hold an ITX motherboard, an SFX power supply, and a full-size GPU. But the case also has these modular pieces available that they call TopHats, and these basically allow you to extend the height of the case vertically. So by itself, I'm just running mine without a top hat. It'll hold everything that you need for just like basic air cooling. But if you want to have bigger fans, or if you want to do something a little more advanced like water cooling, or if your system requires water cooling, they have different sized top hats available. And because these components are modular, you can run these top hats on the bottom or underneath if you want to put your water cooling or your fans on the bottom of the case. Now for me personally, I like to keep my builds as small as possible, so I'm running this without any top hats, and I'm getting temperatures that are actually very similar to my old case, the Ncase M1. So all of the components that were inside here, it's running an 8-core Ryzen 7, 600-watt power supply, GTX 1080, 32 gigs of RAM, and an NVMe, and everything was just straight up transplanted into this new case. Now this thing is running a Noctua cooler, the L965, and that can comfortably handle stock speeds. I just tend not to overclock my smaller builds, but the crazy thing is that even with this smaller case, I'm getting the same temperatures as the Ncase M1, which is like 40 or 50% bigger than this case. So the airflow on this thing is obviously very good, but it's not just that. Like the whole case design, the way they give you cutouts so you can run your cables and stuff, it's just a really well designed case. Now another thing I really like about this thing is how easy it was to build into it. So the top lid pops off, it's magnetically attached, and the side panels pop off really easily. It's surprisingly easy to build into this case despite it being so small, just because of how well the whole thing has just been designed. Now the last thing I love about this thing is the build quality. So small ITX cases, like those boutique ITX cases, they tend to be expensive and they tend to be really well built. That's just the nature of the whole like boutique ITX case. But the GHOST S1 has noticeably thicker panels than the Ncase M1. And the Ncase M1 was already a really well-built case. It's actually one of my favorite cases before this one came out, but this one's just that much better. Now, as for the reason why it's red and how this came to be, so this is the story. I built into this case and I really liked it. Like I liked it so much that I was thinking I should use this case as my main rig. So I thought, hey, why don't I make a custom Dave 2D case? And I was just gonna paint it blue, and I had these decals ready to put them up front. But I go to Home Depot and you wouldn't believe it. They had every single color possible in the spray paint section, except for the one color that is most similar to my logo color, which is like, they call it Seaside, I think. So I called up other Home Depots and no one seemed to have the color in stock, which is super annoying. But then I thought, what can I do with this array of colors to choose from? And I just went with the red because it's something that doesn't go on my channel, but I thought I would make something that just was a little bit different. And then the idea popped into my head. Why don't I just make a Supreme themed computer? Because I don't think it's been done before. I don't think someone's built a Supreme computer, like at least not a little tiny one like this. So I kind of thought it through and just went with it. So this is what we have, a Supreme themed computer. Now this case is, I really like it. This is not an endorsement or anything. They didn't pay me to say this. This is literally my favorite ITX case that I've built in. And I think for a lot of people that enjoy ITX cases, they're gonna like this thing. Now there's a couple things that need to be tweaked still. Like this is a Kickstarter project that is fully funded at this point. I think today is when the Kickstarter ended. So it's unfortunate that I'm telling you guys about this thing after the Kickstarter is over, but you can still purchase this thing through regular retail channels. I'll put all the links for that stuff below. But the one thing that I would say is, really interesting is that during the Kickstarter process, they had a bunch of prototypes that they sent out to people, and I found that the few things that I've had issues with, like the power supply that I used didn't fit exactly into the framing, it was off by 0.5 millimeters or so. So I emailed them and they're like, hey, we already know about this issue, we're gonna fix it in the retail version. So they have this list of tweaks and adjustments that they want to do to the retail version that my pre-production engineering sample didn't have. But even in this kind of early form, I really enjoyed this case. Little details like the pull tab on the top panel give it a more premium feel, and even the light up front is really subtle and elegant. It's not like this obnoxiously bright RGB LED or something like that. It's just a really elegant case, and I think a lot of people will like it. Now, obviously, this isn't for everyone. It's an expensive case. I think this thing goes for like $250 US, but if you're in the market for a nice looking case, this thing looks good. Now, I have this thing actually set up at my office. I have it set up with a wireless keyboard and a wireless mouse, and everyone knows this mouse. It's the MX Master 2S, but this keyboard is a new pickup. It's made by a company called Drevo, and I actually got it as a Christmas gift, and it looks awesome. It's like a wireless or wired keyboard, whatever you want, and it's got RGB backlighting, mechanical keys, $60, can't go wrong with that. Okay. That basically wraps it up. I'll put all the information for the keyboard, the mouse, and obviously all the stuff that's in here down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.